Alrighty then. Today we're going to be explaining the wonderful weather phenomena called hurricanes. We're going to break it down into 4 magical parts. 1. Developing a hurricane. 2. Anatomy of a hurricane. 3. Hurricane classification. 4. Effects of a hurricane. Hurricanes are formed over the loving, nurturing waters of the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans near the equator. Tropical cyclones are low-pressure systems caused by strong winds blowing over warm waters about 85 degrees. This creates a tropical depression, which can then gather moisture, and when the wind is faster than 39 miles per hour, a tropical storm has developed. And again, once we amp this up to a minimum of 74 miles per hour, we have ourselves a hurricane. The spin of the hurricane is due to the Coriolis effect and strong, consistent winds on the equator. Here's a demonstration. Here we have wind, hot water, rain, and a little bit of destructive force demonstrated by this food coloring. We're going to turn it on, and done. As winds move north, the atmosphere and the earth below it aren't spinning as fast, and the sideways motion of the wind outruns Earth's rotation, pushing it east. The same thing happens on the other side of the equator. They move slower and get pulled to the west. The anatomy of a storm. A hurricane has several parts, but starting from the center, we have the eye, which typically develops when sustained winds reach approximately 74 miles per hour. The eye of a hurricane is relatively calm. The size of the eye can vary, but is generally between 20 to 40 miles across. Now, even though it's a generally peaceful spot on the land, the opposite is true for the ocean due to the eye wall, which is the area of strongest winds, intense thunderstorms, and heavy rain. This motion jostles the seas and makes it almost impossible to stay afloat. The intense spin of these winds also blow wind up and out of the system, called the outflow. Raising tubes of warm water throughout the outer arms of the storm pull water vapor up for it to gather and fall, creating rain bands. Rain bands are bands of intense rain and wind interspersed between areas of less energy. The intensity of the conditions would change as you passed through the rain bands. Between these bands, there may be little rain or wind. The next part is labeling these storms. This way we know whether or not to seal up the fort and get comfy, or put a blessing on the land, put a mattress in the van, and pray your insurance company doesn't suddenly forget who you are. The Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale is a 1 to 5 categorization based on the hurricane's intensity. The scale does not at all predict the potential for other hurricane-related impacts such as storm surges, rainfall-induced floods, and tornadoes. Category 1 has winds between 74 and 95 miles per hour or 119 to 153 kilometers per hour. Category 2 has sustained winds of 96 to 110 miles per hour or 154 to 177 kilometers an hour. Category 3 has sustained winds of 111 to 129 miles per hour or 178 to 208 kilometers an hour. Category 4 has winds pushing 130 to 156 miles per hour or 209 to 251 kilometers an hour. And Category 5 will have catastrophic damage with 157 miles per hour or 252 kilometers an hour or higher. There's a high risk of serious damage from flying or falling debris for all categories, and as the wind speeds increase, the harder it will be to dodge. Now again, while this is a helpful list, category doesn't necessarily equal destructive force. For example, Hurricane Harvey was a Category 4 hurricane, averaging about $125 billion of damage, which is massive, especially compared to the 2019 Hurricane Dorian, which was Category 5 and costed about $7.5 billion. Effects of a hurricane. Before the hurricane makes its way to the land, it can already cause a lot of damage by the hand of the storm surge. As a storm moves toward a coast, it can cause the sea level to rise as much as 20 to 30 feet. Wind from the storm pushes ocean water toward the land. The low pressure of the storm also allows water level to creep higher. The water piles up with nowhere to go but onto land when it gets to the coast. The best way to visualize a storm surge is to imagine those kids at the pool trying to slash everyone in the immediate vicinity by spinning viciously with their hands straight down. And then, when the hurricane, aka the kid, comes close enough, he slaps you with billions of dollars in structure damage. In all seriousness, the combination of heavy rain, the storm surge, the high wind speeds, and a slow-moving storm can be overwhelming and cause many people to lose their homes and livelihoods. So it's best to be prepared, know the way the environment affects where you live, and how to help if you or a family member are affected.